Woman whose identity was not immediately known to authorities, not known to the police, not known to the medics. Homicide. But the investigation has...
We are celebrating 50 years. We can transform this country in less time than what our fathers have taken us in 50 years. Congratulations. Happy celebrations. God bless you. The country's future is dependent on the quality of the education system that we have. And you are the linchpin, you are the people, the catalyst to make that happen. The changes, you are the modern architects of the world that we, or the country that we will build. And that's why I came here. The type of country that we want is the type of education system that we have. And that is very, very critical. So that is one of the reasons why I've been involved at the University of Technology for the last 8 years on the council. And every time when there's a graduation in any other secondary school, I also take the time to attend because I believe in the young people. You guys are the key. I've been involved in task force sweep before, and now in fixing the country's revenues. You know, there's been a lot of revenue leakages that we didn't realize. But when I went in, we started collecting at 8 billion, and we just closed off last year at almost 17 billion, more than double the revenue in just the space of 5 years. No new money coming in, all we did is plug the leakages, and the revenue just grew. And what I'm saying is that
no new revenue coming in, they just improve the system or they build the system from scratch. So the problem with service delivery or governance in PNG, and also what is being inducted over to other provinces or influence has been spreading to other provinces. The problem lies with the head. And like they say, you kill the snake at the head and the rest of the body dies. So the problem with PNG is corruption. And I've been following the parliament sessions from time to time, and I've seen a lot of these MPs in the opposition always arguing, and what they argue about is all linked to corruption, to systems not working, to government abusing the system and not giving the money, putting the money where it belongs to deliver the services to the people, the health service. Over 50 years, we have been relying on people to make decisions, people to be responsible, people to be accountable, and that has never happened. And the country is still at the building blocks, still talking about the basic health services, still talking about basic education services, still talking about basic accountability issues. That is because we have a lot of educated people with masters and degrees and PhDs who are in the country who cannot make the change because the system is corrupt. One talk picture in PNG, they would say talk picture or parable, is the story of piping the water from the source to your house. The service that you need in your house is the water. You need water for cooking, for washing, for all the other things, for sanitation in your house. And you pipe the water from the source to your house, and suddenly there appear some leakages along the pipe. That is how corruption is. And when we elect members or leaders into parliament, instead of fixing those leakages on the pipe from the source to the people who need the service, they are still enjoying fetching water on the leakages. they still using those loopholes to siphon out money and use it for their own benefits, using to benefit their own friends, using to invest in their friends' companies, and and that is how corruption happens. So when we are still keeping those manual systems in the government, manual ways of doing things, manual compliance systems, manuals, manual paperwork systems that do not keep track of or audit trail of what is happening, audit trail of who you are dealing with, the service providers, the and still we have service providers who have not delivered a service before, still being given the contract to do the same projects or other projects. And do not have a way to blacklist those companies or service providers. We still have cronies who are in the government system who are still giving contracts to those companies that we know haven't fulfilled their part of the deal. So that is how corruption operates. Now, I admire Sam Cohen because he's been very honest, and I agree with what he's saying. So let's listen more.
We are so blessed, but we need to cultivate our mind to realize the richness of our country. And that is through education. So one other thing, that's the first point in that. And the second point is that we can build the best systems and the processes. We can adopt the best systems and processes, but it's the people who will make or break. It's the people. And you people are in a very critical position to mold and shape the right kind of attitude, the discipline, the right kind of people who will build the right systems. And that's why my message to you today is you are at that critical place and you will be sent out. If you go and find another job, like being an accountant or being involved in running a hotel or whatever, thank God for you, you can go there. But if you go back into teaching, take this job not as just another paid job, because you are responsible for shaping the future of this country. It is educated people, educated but valueless, unethical people who are destroying this country. And the challenge is upon us as educators to educate and instill the right attitude and values in our young people so that when they go into the workplace, they will be agents of change. But it takes discipline, it takes a lot of hard work to do that. There's this young couple who just got married in the US of A, and they had the first Christmas turkey to cook. So what happened was that they were trying to cook the first Christmas turkey, and the wife chopped the turkey in sliced in half and diced it, sliced it in half, and then cooked it separately, the upper body separately from the lower body. And the curious husband was wondering, why is she cooking the turkey in half? And he asked the young wife, and she said, no, my mother taught me how to cook like this. So they called up the mother, and the mother said, no, my mother taught me how to cook like this. So they called the grandmother, and then the grandmother said, no, my mother taught me how to cook like this. And they called the great-grandmother. Fortunately, the great-grandmother was still alive at that time. And the great-grandmother picked up the phone and she was asking, what is it? And then they said, no, why did you teach your daughter to teach her daughter to teach my wife to cook a turkey by cutting it in half and quarter and cook it separately? And then the great-grandmother said, seriously, during those times, we had smaller ovens, very smaller ovens, so we couldn't cook a whole turkey. And that's why we had to cut it in half and cut it in pot and cook it. Today you have a better ovens. But why are you still cutting it and cooking it in half and wasting time? Today we have better technology. We are celebrating 50 years. We can transform this country in less time than what our fathers have taken us in 50 years.
Now, my talking points today is how good systems can help fight corruption. Now, corruption grows where systems are weak. Now, Sam Koim is saying, why do we have to do the things in the same manual way that our forefathers did since 1970s or 1960s? Why are we still doing the same things, same manual things? Why are we not digitizing the system so that it becomes easier for us to promote transparency, to make everything visible? Because digital systems make it visible for everyone to see what is happening, what processes are being used, what updates are being done on a project. Manual system cannot do that. And he was telling that story about the turkey. The lady cut it in half and cook it separately because her mother showed her how to cook it like that. But times have changed. Now we have better technology to do things faster. We have better technology to keep track of the activities, the financial transactions, the projects, the contracts that we are giving out. And it is like those loopholes in the pipe from the water source to your house. You want the full water to reach your house. You want full pressure, but because there are loopholes, there are leakages along the pipe, and people are fetching water from the loopholes, the leakages, you cannot get the full service that you're supposed to get. That is what corruption does. So when processes are unclear, decisions are made in secret, and records are poorly managed, dishonest people can abuse power for personal gain. Good systems create transparency. When governments make decisions, budgets, contracts, and payments are properly recorded and visible. Visibility is very important, like I mentioned. Visibility means a system is visible. Everything, every activity that is happening is visible to other officers. Others can see. And corruption thrives when people hide the things that they are doing, hide the deals that they are doing, and they are doing some vector dealings, and they don't want other officers to see. They only come out with the final decision and tell people to agree on this decision, and they force it through. That is what's happening. So good systems create transparency. So visibility is one important thing. It becomes harder for money to disappear without trace or without explanation. Now, digital systems records reduce manipulation. When we have good systems, the good systems that we build, we are talking about, I'm not talking about digital systems. It keeps audit trails. It keeps logs of what is happening. For example, if someone is logging into the system logs down what username is being used to log on at what time and what activities are being done, what files are being changed, what things are happening in the system. It keeps record of those things, and it is easy to track so that accountability is easier to implement and decisions are easier to implement. So paper files can be lost. Even in fire situation, when a government office is burned, paper files can be lost. So we need digital systems. They can be lost or they can be changed, they can be hidden or destroyed. Digital systems with audit logs can show who accessed the record, what has changed, and when they changed it. Clear procedures can reduce favoritism or nepotism or things like that. A good system makes everyone follow the same process. This helps prevent one-talk system, bribery, political influence, and unfair treatment. Procurement systems can stop inflated contracts. When tenders, bids, and evaluations, approvals, and payments are tracked properly using the good systems, it becomes harder for officials to award contracts to their friends and fake companies. Some companies that government officers allocate or give contract to, you will find out that they just registered with IPA just a month ago because they were doing some backdoor sinister dealings with some um, government officers who are responsible for those contracts or those projects. So those kind of things happen when we use manual systems, and the way we keep those loopholes still open is by keeping those manual systems still going on. Why do we keep doing things the old way that our grandparents did in 1960s, in 1970s? We should change things to be more productive, to be more um, uh, accountable. That's why we are getting Australians from other places to come. I- Not long we will get angels or someone from heaven to come and run our system because we don't know what to do. We don't believe in what the system can do. We don't understand what the system can achieve. We want to keep using the manual system because we want to benefit from it. Financial systems can improve accountability. Now, every payment is linked to an approved budget. So when a budget is set, there is an outcome. So that outcome can be tracked clearly to the budget. There's no loss of funds along the way. There's no leakages along the way. So digitized systems can help us to track and improve accountability. Purchase order, invoice, and receipt, it becomes easier to detect fraud and double payments, ghost suppliers, and misuse of public funds. Good systems protect honest public servants. Many public servants want to do the right thing, and a good, strong system can protect them because decisions are based on rules, records, and evidence, not pressure from powerful people. Audit trails keep evidence. Now, one loophole that people use when educated people go into the system and they manipulate, they hide their tracks when they're doing something because there is no good system. We're still using manual system and it is easier to manipulate and abuse the system and hide people's tracks. And fighting corruption requires proof. A good system keeps logs, approvals, documents, and transaction histories that can be used by auditors, investigators, and courts. Citizens access public service and it improves public trust. For example, if you're in a remote area, you don't have to spend 100 INA to go to the government station to pick up your NID. You can log into the system from your place, given you have a good internet connection, and check. And you can receive email or notification that your NID has arrived, so you can just go and collect. And because we have loopholes in the system, that doesn't happen. We're still using manual system and we are wasting funds just to travel to and fro, just to be sent from office to office in the government offices. Excuse me, to achieve the basic services. And today we are still complaining about the basic health services, basic health education services, basic things, basic accountability. We can't do that because we still want to maintain the manual system and we want to fetch the water from the leakages. We want to benefit from those money. That's what our MPs are doing. That's what people in power are doing. So when citizens can access or see how funds are spent, which projects are approved, and whether services are delivered, they can hold leaders and departments accountable. That is what accountability is, what senior people in the government system or leaders do not want. That's why they want to hide their dealings, their deals with how they are doing the processes. That's why they want to hide it. That's why they don't want visibility in the system. That's why some people will not approve building good digital systems, because it improves visibility so that everyone can see what is happening. That is one important thing. That's why we want to keep the loopholes open so that people are still fetching water from the leakages on the pipe. Automation reduces human interface. Now, people will argue that when we automate processes, it will put people out of job. That is bullshit. We shouldn't listen to people like that. We need good people who understand how to build good systems. And automation will reduce human error, and it will reduce corruption as well. We have seen Papua New Guinea um, development over 50 years. Nothing has really changed. People are still complaining in parliament. Our MPs still debate about the same old corruption going on in the system, because we don't want automation. We don't want to automate some tasks that can be done by the system itself. We want to involve people to make some decisions. And over 50 years, we have been relying on people to make simple decisions, and they have never got it right because they want to still fetch water from the leakage. The more manual process is, the more room there is for bribery, delay, and all sorts of corrupt activities. Automation, automated systems, on the other hand, can reduce unnecessary face-to-face dealings where corruption can often happen. Performance dashboards and expose failure. Performance dashboards. Now, dashboards are systems where you see all the data being projected in graphs and things like that to see how projects are going, what phase are they, if projects are already funded, they are already being implemented, and how much percentage completed already. Things like that can be seen on a performance dashboard, and even performance of staff as well. If uh, people are using their work hours, or public servants are using their work hours productively doing something. Um, so if we implement the system, some of these systems I'm talking about, we're already implementing it in my workplace. So I know what I'm talking about. There is more visibility on how each public servant is achieving, completing their task. So automated systems make it easier for that to be achieved, for accountability to be achieved, and people can be um, promoted based on merit, on what they are doing. Actually, some people go and clock in and they leave the office and then they come back and clock out. That can be blocked if we have good systems in place. And dashboards can help or can show which districts are receiving funding, which projects are being delayed, which contractors are performing or underperforming. This makes excuses harder and accountability easier. So contractors sometimes make excuses, and because we're using manual system, if everyone is using the correct system, if everyone is consistently using a good workable system, then we can track what is happening. And part of the reason, one thing that Sam Cohen mentioned in that video in his speech is that we can build good systems, but it is the people who must make it happen. It is the consistency in how people are using the system. There, if you are um, monitoring a project, you have to enter data into the system. The system itself cannot work. It is the people who must enter that data into the system, and the system needs data to give the output, to give, to add, or to show the result of the system in the graphs to show that there's a project progress in the project that is happening. So good systems do not replace good leadership, but good systems support good leadership because decisions are made based on data, and it needs people to use the system correctly and input correct data so the system can work. And we can enforce laws and policies to guide how the system is used. And people need to be accountable for how they are using the system. If we set up a system and people are not using it, they need to be accountable. We must set up policies and laws to make people accountable to the system. And that is how the system will work. That is why Sam Cohen is mentioning that is actually stressing that systems will not work until people make it work. So that is one thing that comes with capacity building and how people adapt to the new system and start to use it instead of using the manual system all the time. And like I said, or I alluded to, most people still want to use the manual system because they are still fetching water from the leakages. They are tasting the water is really sweet on the leakages. That's why they do not want us to fix the system. That is why when we vote people into the parliament, they don't want to fix the system because they are benefiting from it. Even the best system needs honest leaders, trained officers, and strong enforcement. That is where policies and laws come in. But without good systems, even honest leaders struggle to control corruption. That is one important point. Corruption is not only a moral problem, it is also a system problem. If the system allows abuse, people will abuse it. Now, this is very common for manual systems. If we are using um, manual systems like manual compliance systems, sometimes you will find out that in compliance systems, you will find out that some of these bogus claims go through and some genuine claims get thrown in the trash bin because there are people in there who are abusing the system and allowing the bogus claims to go through and be paid while claims, genuine payments are thrown in the rubbish bin and the projects do not happen. And that's why services do not reach people. That's what is happening. So a system works when it is enforced with laws and policies, and it has to be a good policies and strong laws to enforce them. So the manual system is very easy to manipulate and abuse. Therefore, fighting corruption requires better laws, better technology, better records, better audits, and better public access to information. That is where visibility also comes in. A strong government must be built on strong systems. If public money is tracked, decisions are documented, and leaders are held accountable, then services can reach the people instead of being stolen along the way, along those leakages. The message is simple. Good systems make corruption harder, detection becomes easier, and accountability becomes stronger. Now, before I finish this video, I want to show you this video from one of the guys on Facebook, which I agree on everything as he mentioned.
Do you mean that systems lo delivering service lo all the level? But we still rely on man. Now you mean that systems for accountability lo get a government department and now you play look him and he sees that carry more man outside they come inside look simple system. I'm start lo police now. Because you know that accountability, you know that system lo drive him accountability inside the police hierarchy. That's why all rely on man outside. Or kisimula in Australia go lo kisim some laga no big position no police now. I suppose you look good. You look good lo all get the handwork lo government. Same problem I'm start. You know got accountability. You will look him law security industries. I mean look him or security bite him man like kill him man. You know got accountability law provincial health authority or law health systems. I mean look him now man married dialogue flown about. So okay them come again law systems. But how we mistreat him? You may mistreat him through voting one plus right political party or one plus right politician. No. You may mistreat him, lo vote him in. Man, he got savelo building system from the ground up. So, before PNC start, Ogara man sing out bangu because same problem you may look him. Bangu go inside, you may look him, same problem. Now Ogara man sing out law, Allen bed. Me support him Allen bed. But, me look savelo him, I'm going inside too. Maybe just send him team to so na next group of Kaigai man by come along. Why? It's because you may not have systems. So not gonna foul. 2027, we are not voting for people or political party. We have to vote for systems, meaning that you find him or man or Mary, so that you understand him go through how to build him system inside our governance system inside the PNG. How you can connect him or get a pipeline to service you call get a house to have no get a man Mary. You may like him kind of man Mary lo inside the parliament lo start working nupla law, reform him all plan law, and make him more stronger regulations, let me bring him back. Transparency and accountability so that you may get a good public service. High crime rate, high all get about low education outcome, all get this all sorts of problems blame me, and lead come again and no had accountability inside the governance blame me. Look at the next video.
So thank you very much for watching. If you have some comments, make them constructive. It can be negative or positive, I don't mind. But make constructive comments. If you don't agree, state your reasons why you don't agree. You cannot agree without no reason. You have to argue with constructive comments, with genuine points, and comment, and we can answer. If you have some questions, make comments, subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you later. Thank you so much.